Yo, Sanju Uchiha here, people. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to this week's review of Gundam Battle Divers, Episode 2. Of course, this week's episode titled Chaotic Ogre. Of course, as per usual, before getting into it, be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe, and check out my review in Episode 1 of Gundam Battle Divers. Of course, as I would have mentioned in this, I'll be reviewing the entire series, leading up to its, conclusion, over many episodes that may be, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, getting right into it, episode 2 of Gundam Battle Divers is first impressions coming off the episode. It's a solid improvement coming off episode 1. Episode 1 was okay, but it wasn't anything too stellar or extraordinary. Episode 2 boasts, I'd say, major improvements over episode 1. The basic plot for episode 2 really revolves around Riku and company really just going on a basic mission to collect some flowers, really and truly, in the Gundam Battle Nexus MMO virtual worlds. I guess I should probably write that down. Pretty long though. But yeah, really and truly, as basic as that plot sounds, this episode does feature a lot of things that say are a major improvement over episode 1. The plot itself, or the basis for it, is merely an excuse for Riku to explore and try out things regarding his Gunpla that he actually didn't try out in episode 1, which in this case, since he's piloting a machine based on the Gundam 00, the Gundam 00 diver in this case, yeah, it's a customized version of the 00. He actually didn't try out the Transam system. So the basis of the mission is really just an excuse to try it out while exploring the Gundam Battle Nexus world a bit more, as Magi, yeah, that guy, has been helping them out from last episode, since they're beginners. He suggests they basically go on an open world mission, they have the entire world map at their disposal in terms of actually executing the mission. Now, where this episode actually shines over episode 1 is that we explore more of the rules and what this series is really and truly grounded in. We had already established from episode 1 that this is really and truly an MMO type virtual world thing, kind of like a Sword Art Online .hoc side kind of vibe mixed with Gundam. As opposed to how things were executed in the previous build series of Plastic Particles. But with this episode, we explore more so in terms of the types of missions, the types of rewards you can get from missions, and basically how the world map is basically constructed in terms of it's basically reconstructions of various locations in the Gundam universe based on what we are seeing in this episode. Because once they started the mission and they got to the section with the Saint Kingdom, I was like, oh shit, a location from Wing. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. Why this actually makes episode even better is that, since the thing is, you kind of have to judge a series by what it tries or what its intentions are. The build series its intention is always to give you nice cameos. That's one of the main objectives, I'd say, apart from marketing and merchandising and all of that and selling Gunpla kits in real life. But the fact that we have all these locations based on locations in the Gundam universe, and not that it wasn't the case in previous build series, but the fact that they've adopted more of a virtual world kind of aspect to it, where the pilots can actually come out of their mobile suits more or less instantly to actually explore the environment. It kind of gives you a kind of it adds another layer of interaction between the characters you see there and the environment. So that was a definite plus for the episode. One thing I will praise this episode on compared to episode 1 is that we got a much more, in-depth or decent fights compared to last week's episode. We're introduced back to Dogi, which is the character from last week that tried to sabotage them because they're beginners, and his brother, which Hellfire Ogre, which is an aspiring Gunpla pilot that seeks to basically overthrow the champion, or basically he wants to challenge the champion in the end. It kind of does seem like the typical or the cliche guy that comes in, he's really obsessed with improving his skills. It's cliche, but I think for the nature of the build series, it's not necessarily a bad thing, even though it's cliche. Of course, we're treated to Riku's first loss in the series, which in turn motivates Riku to improve as a pilot by the end of this series. So at least at this point, we have some motivations for Riku as a character, because I didn't find Riku as a character that interesting. Episode 1, it was pretty cliche, and even though this in itself is pretty cliche as well, at least it gives, it at least makes his character a bit more interesting as to what was introduced in episode 1. I must say some interesting tidbits. The fact that you can actually log in without actually having your Gunpla model on you, that's interesting. It kind of really paints a better picture of how this whole Gundam Battle Nexus system works, and it really paints it more as a serious MMO type experience with even friend requests going on and all of that. So that was interesting. Them establishing more of the ground rules was definitely a plus. Riku's character getting a bit more interesting, definitely a plus. As I said, we got a fight between Hellfire Ogre and Riku, which for the most part it was a decently choreographed fight. Definitely liked it. I was a bit more invested in the episode compared to last week, so that was definitely good. Of course, getting new characters is good. Riku losing is good. And we actually found out the silver-haired or white-haired girl's name, which is Sarah, which I guess this was a bit predictable, but it's not necessarily negative, in that she's obviously some type of, it wasn't said in the episode, but this is my theory, obviously. She's some type of probably computer program, or because I'm pretty sure later on you're going to find out that she probably doesn't exist in real life, or probably she's probably terminally ill in real life or something like that. So there's that. And just like in previous build series, she seems to be that one character that's going to have that quote-unquote gimmick when it comes on to the world or the tech they're using in this series. Like in the first build fighters, you had Yukio, and probably pronounced that wrong, which could see like the movement of plastic particles. I don't remember if there was anybody in Tri that had some weird gimmick, but apparently Sarah's gonna be this, or I guess designated gimmick character in terms of that for this series. All in all, a pretty solid episode. I'd definitely give it a 7 to a 7.5 out of 10. It was pretty good seeing the references. Pretty cool seeing the Trans Am as well. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this episode. I definitely enjoyed it. Step up from episode 2. I hope it kind of helped. I kind of hope it builds momentum and ends off on a good note. Well, not at end yet, but I hope it just continues its momentum into episode 3, and maintain this level of quality and above. But all in all, Sanju here. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.